Hi everybody. I felt drawn to putting out a quick video today because there is a lot to be fearful of, and this message is for people who live in South Africa right now, but even for those people who are overseas, for any of us that are even dealing with COVID or climate change, where there's flooding or whatever it might be right now, it may serve you, this little message. But I wanted to put this out to anyone who lives in South Africa who may be energetically, spiritually, or emotionally aware in any way, to be open to the opportunity of allowing yourself to be trained. Yes, it is so easy to be full of fear and anxiety at the moment with what's happening in our country. I just heard that there may be more riots and looting and a protest up to Zuma's prison tomorrow, being the 19th of July. And I could feel myself starting to worry and panic about that and what it brought, and then having to slow myself down and go, hold on a second. And as I worked with it, I realized, I wonder how many people have tools. So I thought I would just share two very simple things, 2 or 3 simple things that may support you in this time of crisis and trauma. These are such simple steps, and the more you practice them, the more of a default they become, that you go to these instead of going to fear or anxiety. Our brains are wired the way if we are in a beta wavelength, which we live in most of the day, our brain is wired to go to fear. It's just the way we're made up, unless we've ever trained ourselves differently. Yes, it is so easy for our heads to wind us up about how bad things could be, or if things get out of control, and what if, and before we know it, we're in a fear-based place or filled with anxiety and can't calm ourselves down, can't sleep at night. A lot of us, our backs are being put out, our necks are hurting, our body's taking the force of that. And we can't expect the world out there to go calm so that we'll feel better. We have to find a way to do this within ourselves, and it is the gift. It is the gift of this entire pandemic, of all the crises that we are living through at the moment. It is the gift, because it gives us opportunities to catch ourselves in the action of what we're doing and change it to something that helps us to be aligned, that brings us back to a place of peace or love within ourselves. Now, obviously, there are all kinds of practices and techniques where people meditate and do all kinds of things, but I want to talk about something even simpler than that, right? That in the moment, you can catch yourself, yes? So, like, when I heard that, well, tomorrow, that there might be more protests and riots, and I go into this panic, I catch it. I stop for a moment and I notice that I've gone into a place of fear. Yes, that I'm feeling fear, that I'm anxious, and I notice I go into all the what ifs, right? And if I can catch that, just that step alone is already huge, because you're catching it rather than letting it be unconscious. And our next step from there is not to try and suppress it or make it go away. Fear is not a bad thing if you know how to manage it. Yes, fear is important because fear can protect us, right? It can say there's danger, you need to take care, and we can put that into action and we can use it. Yes, or we can change things or make new decisions. It's when it's unconscious, or we ignore it, or we just don't even make ourselves conscious that we're carrying it, that we end up with bodily pains and etc. So this little step of just catching ourselves that, oh, I'm going into fear, what am I doing, right? To just stop, just be with it. Don't try and get rid of it, and don't heighten it. Just sit there, notice, wow, I'm feeling really fearful. And are these real? Maybe not. It could be some kind of video that my imagination has made up and thrown out that I am reacting to. Yes? Just simply being with it. If you notice You might even notice you've got things going on in your body, right? That your chest tightens up, or your breath becomes shallower, right? Or that your muscles tense up, or your neck starts to tighten up at the back. Notice these things, yes? Because you're noticing where the fear is gone. And just acknowledging that is being really kind to yourself and not unconscious, yes? So once you've done that, I mean, if you're in a situation that is an emergency, you can then calmly and rationally, hopefully, make some good decisions about how to take care. What do I need to do in this moment to look after myself? But I think for most of us, you know, whether it's COVID, whether it's protests, whether it's not feeling safe in our country right now about what could go wrong, I mean, it's a very scary time, yes? But the thing is, we've spent most of our lives going to fear and setting up a default, and it's not serving anyone. And if you think about it, all the fear that every individual is creating, in South Africa alone, we have 50 million people in the population, all right? If only 3/4 of those people are fearful about what's going on, think about how many people are pumping out this negative energy of fear that is filling our country. Never mind the planet, never mind the rest of the 7 billion of the population, yes? Think about that energetically, because emotion is an energy. So when we go into this being wound up by our minds, or we go into this default of fear, we start kicking this out, yes? And then what happens is it lowers the frequency. It lowers the consciousness of, never mind of you, of what is around you and what is in our country. And that's not serving, right? The factions that are out there tap into that without knowing it, and they use that energy. Let's not give it to them. Empower yourself and help to empower your nation and your family and your community around you. Yes? So when you catch yourself starting to go into fear, see if you can stop for a moment. Acknowledge that you're scared or fearful or anxious. And then find something, a memory, a person, an animal, a situation that holds love or holds peace. Just choose something, yes? At the beginning of COVID, I kept finding that I would go into these bouts of anxiety for days, really worrying about what was going to happen, right? Expecting an apocalypse because I didn't know what COVID was bringing, yes? And so I had to find something. And for me, back in those days, I chose my animals, my furry babies, because I love them unconditionally and they love me unconditionally, yes? And I just think of my babies and my heart gets bigger and I feel loving, and it immediately brings joy and brings a beautiful, beautiful feeling, right? And then what I did was this. Every time the fear came up or the anxiety, I would stop, notice what I'm doing, be grateful because it's going to keep me safe, right? I'm not going to run up there and not wear a mask and do silly things to not take care of myself, yeah? And then I would go to this, I would think about my animals, yes? I would think about how much I love them, how much they love me, all right? You need to find something for you that works. And if you take yourself to that situation, person, experience over and over and over again, you'll find over days and weeks, if not months, you'll find that cycle of fear gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And eventually it becomes your new default, is that when fear comes up, you listen to it, you get the wisdom of it, but you go into a place of peace to deal with it, and your body will respond better. And as a result, we all won't be pumping out as much fear and anxiety that our country is going through right now. To unhook from that, to stop feeding the frenzy, stop feeding the fear that is in our country and in our population at the moment. Yes? So try it. It's so simple. Yes, it's so simple. Because also what happens is this. If you know anything about your energy system, your auric field holds 7 layers, your subtle bodies within it. And what happens is when we go into panic, when we start to unground, when we start to try and get out of here as fast as we can, we knock the center out of those 7 bodies, and they move offline, and we're misaligned and we're ungrounded. And then, because we are all connected, we know this theory, okay, that we are all one consciousness. All of us human beings, every species, right, is its own energetic group. We know this. But what does that mean when one person is out of alignment? It means that if I go and stand next to someone else in a pick and pay queue, and they don't know how to hold their center, and I'm out, I will knock them out. Yes? Or the other way around, if I'm not centered and they're out, or there's many people around me that are out of alignment, they will knock me. And so we ripple this, and then we end up with huge amounts of communities that are completely off center, right? So when you can catch that fear, pull it back, find peace and love within yourself. It will help for you to hold that alignment. And then if you happen to be around other people and there's this negative talk or anxiety, or you're simply in the queue in a supermarket, you can actually hold your center. Focus on that thing that helps you to hold there. Of course, people meditate, and there's a lot more practices. I mean, in the kinesiology and in the Andean medicine that I teach, we clear that up. We pull your alignment back in. In the Andean tradition, we work with hucha. We help to clear away all the fear that builds up in our system. And after a while, there isn't a build-up, and you're able to just hold it. There are ways, in healing sessions and meditations that you can take care of yourself there. But this is so simple. You can catch it before it unfolds. And as this starts to really wind up, I mean, now it's not just COVID, right, that we're worried about. It's the safety and the terrorism that is in our country right now. Yes? So there is a lot of trauma out there. We are knocked out of our centers. It is scary. We're ungrounded. And we have to constantly, moment by moment, day by day, bring ourselves back. If you are someone who's already been doing this and working on your healing, releasing stress, releasing the heaviness throughout these last 18 months, you will know with me the power of the transformation that is going on inside of all of us when we dare to do this. So this is an opportunity for training, my darlings. Hang in there. Hold your focus. Catch yourself. Try and be aware in the moment when you're knocked out of center, when you go into that fear. Pull yourself back. Focus on what's peaceful and loving within you, in your side of yourself, in your memories, in your heart. Yes? Connect. Make yourself stronger. And together we'll make each other stronger by doing this, and we can ripple this out. So take care. Yes? We all chose to be here at this time. Yes, there was a reason. This is such an opportunity for transformation. And in something as simple as watching what you do with your fear or your misalignment, you can bring yourself home. Lots of love, sprinkling it out there over our country and over each other, wherever you may be in the world. Take care and be safe.